Will rising food prices then be the key factor that will cost the UPA-II the next elections? That's the big talking point tonight. Joining me now, Salman Anis Soz, member of the Congress, who joins me here. Prasenjit Bose, left economist and political activist, joins me. Ajay Veer Jakhad, he's the chairman of the Bharat Krishak Samaj, a farmers' body. Piyush Goyal, member of parliament and treasurer of the BJP. Shankar Iyer, senior journalist and author of Accidental India, joining us, someone who studies the Indian political economy very closely. Before I come to you, gentlemen, let me just give you a look first at the rise of wholesale price of onions just since June this year. In June, onions cost 14 rupees a kilo in the wholesale market. By August, the price had gone up to 37 rupees a kilo. That's a rise of 164%. In September, the wholesale price of onions was at 45 rupees a kilo. That's a rise of 221% just since June. And as I said, at the moment, onions are now reaching 70 rupees a kilo. A short while ago, I spoke to the food minister, Mr. K.V. Thomas. I began by asking him, the government was claiming that food prices would come down every fortnight. The fact was, vegetable prices, especially onions, were going through the roof. Would he accept as food minister that he had been unable to bring down prices?
See, we should understand, in a big country like ours, where agriculture production varies from season to season, some commodities, the price usually go up, sometimes it crash down. One example is onion. Onion is a product by which October, November, December, then January, February, March, then April, May, June. These are the 9 months the production takes place. And the remaining 3 months are lean months. So lean months, the prices usually goes up. This is actually what has happened here. And compared to last year's production, this year's production is less by about 8 lakh tons. Similarly, storage, compared to last year, the storage is less by 2 lakh tons. So these are some things happens seasonally, but always we watch the situation, especially in the case of onion. There is a committee with this Secretary Commerce, Secretary Consumer Affairs, Secretary Agriculture, Secretary Food, monitoring the situation. And export-import we monitor through the regulating the MEP.
Mr. Thomas, you may say what you want, but let me tell you what an internal ministry note of yours is saying. It's saying production has actually gone up, supplies have gone down. That this is a classic case of hoarding that's leading to the price rise. The bottom line is your government has failed to act decisively against the hoarders. That's what is causing the problem.
See, hoarding, the action has to be taken by the state government. I've answered in the Rajya Sabha during the last discussion that many state governments have taken action, cases have been registered. But apart from that, even now 1 hour back, I talked to the concerned officers. Nowadays, in the case of onion, the farmers have a facility for better cold storages. So as a result, even though production is less by 4 lakh tons, 8 lakh tons compared to last year, we find that a lot of onions are being stored by the farmers themselves, but we have given instruction that this should be released. Actually, about 10 days back, more quantity of new onions, new arrival onions have been released from Karnataka, Andhra and other places, and the prices are slowly coming down.
Mr. Minister, that is having no impact on the prices. You are going to pass the buck on to the state governments, but can the centre avoid responsibility to bring down food inflation? Ultimately, the buck will stop with you, sir.
I am sorry, it is not a central state quarrel, it is something that is happening, but a central government, whatever is within our limitations, we are doing it. That is why when the prices slightly warmed up, we have taken action, we have sent our officers, and we see that especially in capital cities like Delhi, we have been in touch with the state governments. State government has acted in Delhi. I have seen about 2 weeks back. State governments have their own mechanism.
Let me ask you the big question, Mr. Thomas. We are entering an election season. Will the spiraling food inflation cost UPA-II the elections of 2013 and 14, yes or no?
See, why should you put... I cannot understand my media friends link it to the election. There is nothing to do with the election, these things. These are certain things happening in our country for a long period, and Government of India has been taking actions. Here also, it is not connected with any election campaign. What we want is the people should get onion at a reasonable price. At the same time, farmers should get a reasonable price. This is what we are taking, a balancing action. It is not an election campaign.
It's not an election issue, says the food minister, but Salman Ani, so let's widen the debate. The minister doesn't seem to see the onion as a politically volatile vegetable, but let's be clear. History shows no government can survive high inflation, particularly that of the onion. Would you concede that if prices remain high now over the next few weeks, you might as well write off the next elections?
No, we're not going to write off the next election because you have to look at the totality of UPA's performance. Inflation is certainly a very, very important consideration. What we see right now, of course, is worrisome. People at home are hurting. Inflation, food price inflation is up, and certainly onion prices, for example, they're up as a metaphor for overall inflation. But you know, like the minister said, we do expect, because of a good crop, that in 2 to 3 weeks prices are going to begin to moderate, and they'll continue to see moderation.
I heard exactly the same thing said by the minister at the start of the month. That's what he told Parliament.
but
we are now on the 17th of September. In Parliament, his statement was, within a fortnight, I expect the prices to moderate. They've gone up. They've gone up, and they could get worse. Because diesel prices could be up. You could be in a situation where you have fuel-led inflation, and things could get worse.
Let me just say that the spike that we see right now is related to some supply disruptions that happened because of some heavy rainfalls from areas where the supply was supposed to come in. Now, I think that this is going to moderate over not just the next few weeks, but it's going to continue. This process of moderation is going to continue until January. That's what the estimates are suggesting. But by the way, people sitting at home, I mean, if it's common sense, would the UPA government, during an election year, not try and do everything that we possibly can to improve the inflation situation?
So that's your intention. Yes, it's not been backed by the reality.
But the reality is that there are seasonal factors at work, and this is not the first time.
So you believe this is seasonal? You believe this is purely seasonal?
No.
Are you saying this is purely seasonal?
This is not purely. I did not say it's purely seasonal. I'm just saying that this is seasonal, as well as there are other factors that come into play. There's supply side issues. There are actually demand side issues that people don't really talk a lot about.
I'm going to come to the demand side issues. Prasenjit, quickly respond, then I'll go to Piyush.
Yeah, I think that both the minister and the Congress spokesperson, their response is pathetic and it is extremely disingenuous. The point is that you are saying seasonal. Every season, if there is inflation, then it is not seasonal. It is happening year after year after year. Your government sits from June, July, August, September. Onion prices are shooting up for the past 3-4 months. What is your government doing? It is a clear case of hoarding. Your government is supposed to pull up the state governments if they think that the state governments are responsible.
I'm sorry.
Hang on. First you listen. Please develop the habit of listening. You talk too much. Your party.
Let's not shout people down.
Yes. You don't interrupt me.
But you cannot shout on it.
Don't interrupt me.
These are not good manners.
Hold on. One by one. Prasenjit, there is no need to shout. There's no need to shout. Make your point and I'll go to Piyush then. Make your point. Nobody's interrupting, but make your point and make it briefly and succinctly.
The point is that under the UPA-II government, the inflation has been in double digits. Consumer, it's a fact.
Yes.
This is the largest stretch of double-digit inflation this country has seen in the entire post-independence period. What has this government done? And when he is talking about demand-side factors, and as an economist, I am telling you, basically what he is saying is the interest rates should be hiked, that the Reserve Bank should be
We'll come to those issues. We'll come to those issues.
Their diagnosis of the inflation problem is wrong.
Okay, hold on.
There are our agriculture. You don't have any diagnosis.
Prasenjit, just a minute. Prasenjit, okay, you are saying, okay, Mr. Soos, can you acknowledge at the start of the program that consumers are hurting, are angry?
Which I did already.
Why not acknowledge it rather than remaining in denial?
I already did. If you remember my first statement, I already talked about how people are hurting. But let me, by the way, as a matter of...
would you concede there is a problem in your supply chain? Would you concede there is
is
massive hoarding which you have been unable to control? Yes or no? Then let's put some basic facts.
Is there a problem? There is a problem. But I think what is a bigger problem in this country right now is that the discourse. My colleague here is shouting in my ears as if, where is the decency of having a regular discussion? He's actually...
You are unaccountable.
No, please.
You are unaccountable.
No,
you're insensitive.
You're not
insensitive. You don't answer to questions.
You don't even know me. We have barely met me for 2 minutes, and you actually...
I know your party.
No, you don't. No, I'm sorry.
Hold on.
You have to have a diagnosis. You talk about my diagnosis.
The viewer doesn't want another noisy debate.
Yes.
I want to come to Piyush Goyal. I want to come to Piyush Goyal for a moment. Piyush Goyal, You know, here is the left targeting the center. The fact is, food inflation, many would say, is just as much the responsibility of the state government as it is of the center. Cases of hoarding have been reported from across the country. They are reported from BJP-ruled states like Madhya Pradesh. They are reported from Congress-ruled states like Haryana. Are you going to put the entire blame for the country's onion emergency, as we are calling it, on the door of this UPA government?
Rajdeep, 2 or 3 comments.
Yes.
First of all, whenever this government has a crisis or a problem,
Yes.
they start looking for alibis. Usually it's the global factors. Earlier it used to be the hand of Pakistan. They are yet to appreciate the only problem the country today faces is the lack of decisive leadership, the lack of a leadership which can act in the event of a crisis. And they have demonstrated that the left hand in the Congress doesn't know what the right is doing. The onion producing states are largely controlled by the Congress. Maharashtra, where I come from, where I'm sitting now, is largely responsible for this hoarding. You may, as an anchor and a TV channel, like to balance the debate
No, I'm
by
not balancing
trying to
it.
pass the buck on BJP states
I'm
and
not
Congress
balancing
states.
it. There is hoarding
The
across
fact,
the country,
Rajdeep,
is a
is
fact.
the
I'm not
largest
trying to balance
hoarding
it. I'm giving the fact.
The largest hoarding is in Nashik. It is in Maharashtra, run by the Congress.
Yes.
And they cannot take action because of their coalition compulsions
Yes.
between the NCP and the Congress.
Yes.
Another important thing, Rajdeep, I think you must tell your viewers.
Yes.
It's a statistic which I would urge you, since you have been a reader and a researcher of Indian economy now for more than 2 decades. Every time the Congress has come into power in this country in the last 65 years, and I go right back up to independence,
Yes.
inflation has gone up, particularly food prices have gone up, and interest rates have gone up. Every time there was a non-Congress government,
Yes.
particularly Vajpayee-led BJP NDA government, 98 to 2004,
Yes.
not only did inflation
This is the
come
same government.
spiraling
This is
down,
the same government, Mr.
not
Piyush
only did
Goyal.
interest rates
Have
come
you
spiraling down,
forgotten?
we
Have
had
you
a
forgotten?
robust
One by one,
economy where jobs were
one by
created.
one, Piyush, you made your point. You made a contentious point claiming the BJP
Yeah,
government was better
unfortunately,
in managing
when
inflation
a-
than
when a
Congress government.
panelist doesn't
Hold on,
have
you
anything
made an
to
important
say,
point.
he
I will
disrupts.
just only remind you of the late 90s.
Yes.
When onion prices, by the way, were at that time 60 to 70 rupees a kilo. That is in today's prices.
This
about
is the
150
election that
rupees.
cost Sushma Swaraj an election in
And
1998.
by the way, not only that. If you read the reports of that time, what was happening within, what I appreciate about Mr. Goyal
Yes.
is saying is that, oh, the Congress people are always blaming others, and the BJP is always blaming the UPA. But remember, at that time, Mr. Goyal, you must remember this. There were lots of concerns about how within the NDA, within the BJP actually, ministers were working at cross purposes. They were not working with a bureaucracy, and they didn't even know that onion prices were going through the roof, and your minister did not know at that time.
I just want to
Yeah, before I bring in Mr. Jakhar, before I...
And we possibly paid the price.
Yes, let's not make it Congress versus BJP every evening on this channel.
Not about Congress versus BJP. It is about
Prasanjit, quick
policy.
response because I want to go to Mr.
I
Jakhar
think that-
to give a farmer's
Yes,
perspective.
so I think that it is not about Congress versus BJP because
Yes.
both of them believe in the same economic policies. That is the whole point.
Sir,
the point is that in our country...
Many will say that the left wants a controlled agriculture,
Yes.
which is part of the problem, which is why middlemen have benefited.
Listen, no, the left is not for middlemen. The left is for modernization of agriculture. What has the government done? The left is for a modernization.
How much have you invested in agriculture in your state?
No, listen.
What
The only solution to modernization of agriculture for you is to get FDI in retail.
Yes.
Where is public investment
is
in
your
agriculture?
solution, sir?
Public investment in agriculture.
Okay.
Build cold storages.
So you want-
have farmers cooperatives.
So you want us to-
you are a government of middlemen.
No,
Your minister talks on behalf of middlemen.
You want us to now get our fiscal deficit through the roof? Is that what you
So
want?
that is what
Is that not going to feed into the
fiscal
inflation?
deficit only becomes a concern when it is about farmers.
No, I will tell you
And
where.
it is not
I
about
will
when
respond.
it comes to corporates, your fiscal
I will
deficit
respond to
doesn't
this.
come. When you do scams, when you do corruption, your fiscal deficit doesn't come into the picture. Only when the farmers come, your fiscal deficit comes into the picture.
when your volume
you are
goes down-
anti-people force.
Oh yes, we
Yeah,
are.
Hold on.
government and your
Hold on. So, Mr. Sols, let me give you a breather. Let me give you a breather from Mr. Both. Just a minute, Prasanjit. Just a minute. Mr. Jakhar, you lead a farmers group. Sharad Pawar today made an interesting point. And Sharad Pawar is being targeted at the moment, I'm presuming by the likes of Prasanjit, saying that he is batting for middlemen and for traders. Sharad Pawar said rising onion prices are benefiting the farmers because of the higher food prices. They're getting higher procurement prices, and we should not forget that farmers deserve to make profits. How do you respond to this? Is this the case? Is this the reality at the moment, that farmers also are benefiting from the higher food prices, and therefore the agriculture minister is going to wash his hands off the whole issue?
First of all, I completely agree with Sharad Pawarji that farmers must benefit from rise in prices. Is it happening at this present moment? I would not say 100%. I would say larger farmers who had the capacity to hold on to onion stocks would be benefiting, unlike small and medium marginal farmers. But having said that, this debate between the BJP, NDA versus UPA, whatever it is, I think all of them are collectively responsible for the mess that we are in today. And that includes the Communist Party, the BJP and the Congress.
What is the main reason for the mess according to you? From a farmer's perspective, why do you think even in a year of a bountiful monsoon, like what we have had, we are experiencing such high food prices?
So the question is of investment in agriculture infrastructure. Even though our production has doubled up in the last 10-20 years, the number of mandis has not increased. The growth rate of the food processing industry has consistently declined over the last 30 years. It's declining every year. There's no investment coming in. And talking about the seasonal nature of crop, the onion prices, if you will look into the historical record of the last 10-15 years, have increased from something like 6 rupees to 30 rupees. That's 5 times every year. Potato has increased by 2.5 times every year. There is no market intelligence telling us what to do. There is no investment in market intelligence. There's no investment in meteorological department forecasting. Otherwise, we would know it's going to rain and we would have not allowed onion exports.
So you're saying the investment in agriculture has taken a beating, and that is one of the main problems that is confronting the country, which is resulting in this onion price rise or vegetable price rise at the moment. Shankar Iyer, I have with me an even more interesting comment in a sense that the Prime Minister chose to make in November 2011. He said, and I quote now, "What prices are going up are prices of vegetables, price of eggs, price of fish, that is secondary and tertiary items. It is a reflection of the demand for these commodities exceeding supplies. That is in turn a sign to some extent of growing prosperity in the country." Do you believe what the Prime Minister is saying, that at one level rising prices also reflect a rising demand which supply cannot match, and that is a sign of rising prosperity?
Well, he wouldn't say that this year at 4.4% GDP growth, you couldn't be talking about prosperity.
Yes.
However, having said that, I am not surprised, because this regime has practiced demand-side politics and supply-side paralysis. We are facing a seasonal and a structural issue. Because of the structural issue, the seasonal gets aggravated. Let me share a few facts with you. India is the second largest producer of fruits and vegetables in the world. We produce roughly about 80 million tons. How much of this we process? Less than 10%. When did we first set up the food processing ministry? 25 years back in 1988. The 11th plan talks about a national mission for food. The 12th plan talks about a national mission for food. Nothing gets done. I mean, this government has had its problems. But what about the previous governments? We have done, I mean, 25 years. You know, we lose roughly 40,000 crores of food produce every year. If you just take the last 10 years, Rajdeep, that is 400,000 crores. And we lose millions of tons of food grains. We produce 250 odd million tons of food grains and have storage for only 60-65 million tons of storage. Now, who is responsible for this? I think the entire lot. Because like the prices, the issue is seasonal for them.
Right. You're effectively saying that successive governments have failed to invest in agriculture, effectively endorsing what Mr. Jakhad is saying on behalf of the farmers groups, and that is why we have not liberalized our agriculture sector, and we are therefore going to consistently, in a way, be hostage to seasonal fluctuation. Piyush Goyal, you want to respond to that? That is this really a UPA versus NDA problem? Is this a political problem? You even said a lack of leadership. Is this about a lack of leadership, or is it simply about misplaced priorities over the last 20-25 years?
Rajdeep, with due respect to Shankar, who's a dear friend, as well as Mr. Jakar, who's a very eminent farmer leader, I think it's becoming a little fashionable to try and paint the entire political establishment and all parties with the same brush. They don't seem to recognize the fact that today Madhya Pradesh is at something like 17-18% agricultural growth year on year for the last 2-3 years. Or even on a longer stretch of time, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat have outbeaten the national averages in terms of growth by about 2x or 3x. So you have in Gujarat a situation that over a 10-year period, we have 7% agricultural growth CAGR, when the national average is hovering around 3%. Now ultimately, where does that money go to? It goes to the farmers. Ultimately, why does price have relative stability in the BJP-ruled states? Because we tackle the supply side. Something which the Congress finance minister way back in 1947 advised the parliament that the interest rates and monetary policy will not set it right.
We were coming to some, by the way, Mr. Goyal, the point is that we were trying to have a discussion about onion prices, and then you talk about how BJP ruled states have done an amazing job. I really don't want to get into that.
No, agriculture growth rate in the BJP ruled states is better than the Congress ruled states at the moment.
Let me, by the way, I think what Mr. Shankar Iyer was saying earlier, let's try to kind of focus on that a little bit. Because what Mr. Shankar Iyer said, and by the way, Prasenjit, when he was shouting into my ear about how he was actually deigning what our diagnosis was, the issue is that the demand side of things. Let's look at the demand side of things, because we are accused of working on the demand side.
What's your point?
The point is, when the farmers in this country were dying in their hundreds of thousands, when they were killing themselves, the UPA government came in with a minimum support program. When people in our rural areas had very little to eat, we came up with policies that actually helped them raise their wages. That put a wage floor. That has actually increased their disposable incomes. They may be eating maybe not just rice and some salt, but maybe some rice and a little bit of dal. That is one part of
the completely wrong diagnosis.
No.
I mean, you are living in a completely make-believe world. You are detached from the ground realities of our country.
I visit villages every week. Every week I'm in villages.
Listen, are you saying this is demand-led inflation? No, I'm saying. Are you saying this is demand-led inflation that has nothing to do with the supply side crisis?
It has, exactly. It is a demand side plus a supply side issue. It's not just a supply side issue, okay?
So you are going to back what the Prime Minister said, that there is prosperity which is leading to higher demand, which is
the whole point. I don't want to call it prosperity. I want to call it, it's a better standard of living. It's not high. It's not a high standard of living. It's slightly better standard of living. India's doing better.
Quick response, Prasenjit, and then I want to go to Mr. Jakar again.
Don't interrupt me. I have to shout at you then.
No, hold on.
The point is, I think
I don't want anyone to shout at anyone. Please go ahead.
So don't interrupt also. Yes. The point is that the basic problem of this government has been that its diagnosis of the inflation problem is wrong. Yes. It is fixated on this idea that under UPA there is so much of prosperity that people are eating more, they are buying more, therefore there is inflation. This is wrong. The fact of the matter is that there are very, very serious supply side issues. There are issues about how the agriculture system works in our country. It's about storage, it's about infrastructure, it's about a whole lot of supply side issues which this government has completely failed to address. The problem is that I would disagree with this idea that the solution to this problem is liberalization of agriculture. A part of the problem why onion prices are going up is also because you are having liberal exports at a time when there is shortage. So the point I want to make is that you have to have better agricultural infrastructure, and for that you need more public investment in agriculture, which we are not having.
More government. More government is the answer.
No, hold on. Mr. Jakar, you wanted to respond to the point that was made by Mr. Soos.
So, Mr. Soos and Mr. Piyush, I want to respond to both of them and ask a very simple question. This is regarding sugar, because right now sugar is not affecting food inflation, but when the sugar industry makes molasses, why is every political party, every government in every state allocating it at a particular price to the alcohol industry? Because the alcohol industry pays the politicians money and they allocate it. So these issues cross state boundaries. So it's not about Gujarat doing well and Madhya Pradesh doing well, which they are doing well, but these issues grow across state political boundaries, and every political party is more interested in giving lip service than actually delivering on the ground.
You're saying that every political party in this country has, in a sense,
May I
given...
respond?
Yes, Mr. Goyal, you wanted to respond. Has every political party, in a sense, colluded when it comes to onion prices?
I
Is
think
the sense
Mr. Jakar
that... Yes.
is missing one very central point.
Yes.
The Bharatiya Janata Party is on record, and our president has led delegations
Yes.
right up to the Prime Minister,
Yes.
appealing to him to start using ethanol in larger quantity in the petrol and mixing it with petrol for consumption. Like in Brazil, it has gone up to 95% in vehicles.
Yes.
We have been pleading with the government. We don't want anything to go to the alcohol industry.
Yes.
I don't know where Mr. Jakar got this information that BJP and all politicians are asking for sugar molasses to go to alcohol.
It's not
My
asking for it,
president,
it's already going to
ex-president
them for
Nitin
years on
Gadkari
years on end. It's
is
not something
crying
that's
that he has
happening now.
to
It's been happening
forcibly
since the
sell
beginning.
molasses to alcohol people.
Yes.
Because this government doesn't allow ethanol to be mixed.
Can we once again
And that
come
would have
back?
brought down our
Can we
import
once again
bill.
come
It
back
would
to
have
a
cut down
critical
our
issue?
import,
Can we come back to the
cost of
critical
petrol
issue
in
of
this country?
public investment in agriculture? Shankar, you've raised that. Public investment in agriculture, that we've created a system where we have not liberalized our agriculture sector. The farmer today is at the mercy of the middleman, and as we are finding at the moment with onion prices, so is the consumer. The end consumer, between the price which is in Nashik and which he gets once it reaches a mandi in Delhi or any other part of the country, is quadrupling. And that is the only beneficiary at the moment seems to be the middleman in this country.
You know, Rajdeep, first, I would desist from responding to either Mr. Soos or Mr. Goyal because I know they have compulsions.
Yes.
It is not that we don't have solutions for what we are facing.
Yes.
About 40 years back, we had a similar problem, 40, 50 years back with milk production.
Yes.
We then found in Verghese Kurian an evangelist who
Yes.
put together a cooperative system, a national grid for milk.
Yes.
We need a similar national grid for perishable products.
Yes.
It is not a mystery, this is not rocket science, but the entire cooperative sector, which is controlled by political parties, has been disabled, they have been emaciated, they have been crippled, and they don't want to work. Or nobody wants to take up this project. What is the issue of vegetable and fruit pricing? It is arrival on time.
Yes.
As simple as that. If you connect the farm to the fork or the plate,
Yes.
you will create enough room for the farmer to earn and the consumers to buy it at affordable prices. What is so difficult about setting up a national grid for vegetables? Why do in India we have seasonal issues?
Right.
And you can't really have a seasonal problem that happens every year. I mean, if food price inflation has been in double digits for the last 15 years.
Can I just take that to my political panelists, a national grid for vegetables? Why don't you think innovatively? Piyush Goyal, you want to respond, and then I'll get my studio panelists. Why is it not becoming a priority item? I know that your Chief Minister and your prospective Prime Minister candidate held a National Agriculture Summit only last week. These are the kind of issues that the country wants to be put at the top of the national agenda. Are you ready to put them on the top of the national agenda?
Absolutely, and I think Shankar has given us food for thought today. It's a brilliant idea. The Agro Summit, incidentally, was held to solicit ideas from the people on the ground, in the trade, farming community, the retailers, wholesalers, and the entire purpose, if you read the Agro Summit proceedings, I'm sure Shankar may have gone through it. The entire summit was focused on new ideas for taking agriculture to the next level of double-digit or even 12-13% growth. And I think it's a very, very welcome idea which Shankar has given. But may I just make a small point for the panel and for the nation to know? Last year, in the budget, it was planned to spend on agriculture and allied activities 17,692 crores. The government, in its wisdom, supposedly telling the poor people that they are doing fiscal consolidation so that they can bring down inflation and help the poor. What did they do? They cut down 77,000 crores of planned capital expenditure, out of which 1,700 crores was cut in agriculture. So the money which was to be spent on agriculture development, allied services, warehouses, cold storages, supply chain, the government cuts that. Now how can a government which cuts defense funds, which cuts funds on rural roads, which cuts funds on agriculture and allied activities, of course they also cut on minority affairs and tribal affairs, and supposedly became a hero that after first fiscal imprudence,
Let me respond, Mr.
we are now
You know,
cutting down capital expenditure and bringing fiscal deficit down.
I thought, Mr.
So
Goyal,
really the blame lies at the doors of this government.
Of course it does,
Today's
Mr. Goyal,
mess
of course
is
it does.
man-made. It
Mr.
is
Goyal,
made because the hand of the Congress is responsible.
Mr. Goyal, okay.
Yes.
Mr. Goyal, just when I thought that we might have a breakthrough, and Mr. Shankar had come up with an idea worth considering, and you said it's food for thought, and then you decided to pivot and say, let me now take an opportunity to attack the Congress party and the UPA and this government, and let me talk about how they cut out capital investment and how they cut out this and how they cut out 17,000 crores from this and that. You know, first let us agree.
Let's come to the basics. Has the Congress cut down investment on agriculture? And is
the government has...
people it matters.
Look, Mr. Goyal, let me just say this.
Yes.
The government, any government,
Yes.
when there is difficulty in the economy, has competing goals, competing responsibilities. We have to be very, very careful with our expenditures, very, very careful. Let me tell people sitting at home, when we have major expenditures, you have fiscal deficits to worry about. Why? Because those fiscal deficits can tomorrow translate into
You're
inflation.
talking of fiscal deficit on this program when you've given the rural goodies, you're refusing to cut down the subsidy bills, you're going to create a situation in the coming months. Diesel prices, I warned you, diesel prices, Mr. Soos, in the coming months are likely to go up by at least, they've risen by 27.64% in August over the previous year. They're likely to go up even further.
Yes.
The fear is that you will have fuel-led inflation now. At the moment, you've had a supply crisis because of seasonal, we are calling it seasonal. You're going to have fuel-led inflation. And Rahul Gandhi is going to Rajasthan and saying his government stands for the poor. The poor will suffer. Who suffers when inflation is there?
You see,
Who suffers?
When
Who
inflation,
suffers,
we
sir?
all suffer. We all suffer.
Who
when inflation-
suffers the
we all-
most?
We all suffer.
Do the poor suffer or not?
Look,
Do the
this
poor
party,
suffer or not, sir?
Let me just say this. This party, our party, Congress party, has done the most of any governments in this country for poor people.
That's an
The most.
assertion.
Not an assertion. That is the reality.
But the reality is also double-digit inflation.
140
The reality is also double-digit inflation.
100.
The reality is
Taken away with the
Now
right hand.
you're interrupting me now. 140 million people out of poverty in the last 10 years. That is unprecedented around the world, not just in India. Not just India, by the way.
Mr. Jakhad, there are two views. The Congress view is that they've invested in the rural economy,
Yes.
and the rural economy is doing better than it's ever done. The other view, which you seem to be expressing, is that it is only a glass half full at the moment.
See, most of the farmers in the country are poor today.
Yes.
And that is the reason why we have a physical deficit problem, because there is no inclusive growth in the nation. And if most of the people,
Are you saying that the benefits of growth in the last few years have not reached the farmer of this country?
Not
that
at
the
the-
rural
not-
economy is not doing as well?
That's
The figures that Montek Singh Ahluwalia and others throw up for me suggest that the agriculture is still growing at about 7-8% in different parts of the country. You don't agree with that?
Because see, if all I'm saying is that farmers are
No,
not
but the
progressing at the same
national
rate
average
as
is
people
three.
in other
Yes,
other
just a
parts of
minute.
the country.
Yes.
And that is happening because farmers have been given a bad time. Agriculture credit is not available to them. Public spending on agriculture infrastructure is not there. Spending on agriculture research and development is not there. And consistently, year on year, this problem is increasing. And farmers are also consumers. Every farmer is not growing onions.
Fertilizer
So
prices.
when onion prices go up, even farmers suffer.
So you're saying even the farmer suffers when the onion price. Quick response, Prasanji, and then I will end with Shankar. Yes.
I think the fact of the matter is that the Congress has given some sops to the poor.
Sops? No.
Don't interrupt.
Yes.
Whatever the Congress gave away with its right hand, it has taken it back with its left hand through enormous amount of food price inflation, which we have been witnessing over the past 4-5 years. And what Mr. Jakhar has correctly pointed out, a big section of farmers are consumers. They have equally suffered because of this food price inflation, and this food price inflation is because of the wrong diagnosis of the Congress party and inability to make adequate public investment and address the supply side issues in agriculture. Get your facts right and get your diagnosis right.
Mr. Soos, you're getting it left and right. Let me give you a breather. Let me give you a breather, because I think we've got it clear that at the moment the Congress is on the defensive when it comes to food inflation. But Shankar Iyer, play economic soothsayer for us. 10 weeks from now are state elections. 7 months from now are the general elections. Will food inflation get worse before it gets better? And could that therefore be the critical factor? Forget corruption for a moment, forget all the Modi versus Rahul battles. Will it be food inflation that could cost the UPA-II the next election? Do you foresee it getting worse before it gets better?
Well, I definitely don't see it coming down, and it could well get worse. The track record of this government has been that it has forecast many times fall in prices and inflation, whereas prices have not come down. Their credibility is peeling away like the onion. However, coming to the election verdict, I mean, people are angry, they are hurt, and inflation and affordability is on top of the concern agenda. However, people vote for choices and solutions. Do we see any choices and solutions on the other side? That remains to be seen.
Okay, the big question is whether we can offer choices that will ensure. One big choice that was given by Shankar on this program, have a national grid for vegetable prices that will connect this country, make the farmer and the consumer less dependent in a sense for vagaries. Yes, Piyush, you have 30 seconds. I'm running completely out of time. Quick response.
Rajdeep.
Yes.
Rajdeep, a small one.
Yes.
We have a choice. We have a choice of a decisive leader. That is what is required in this country today.
The solution to the food price inflation.
You're saying Narendra Modi will bring down food price inflation, am I right?
Because a hoarder will be scared. A hoarder will be scared if the leader is strong, if the leader is honest, the hoarder will be scared and he will not get the protection of agriculture.
Hoarders will be scared of Narendra Modi.
Prime Minister going because of good monsoon.
Mr. Goyal,
There will be better productivity.
There is a choice in front of this country.
Rajdeep, the Prime Minister and Finance Minister are saying
Mr.
better monsoon is better productivity.
No, but there is no third point either.
Minister is blaming the
No, let's hear
one final point.
I think that we've run out completely out of time. Mr. Piyush Goyal says that the hoarder is frightened of a decisive leader like Narendra Modi.
No, do you see? This country faces a choice between trickle-down economics of the BJP that led to its India shining defeat in 2004. They continue to believe in that dogma. The left, I'm afraid, believes in the dogma that has been defeated a long time back. More government, more government, more government.
Farmers and workers.
The UPA government has done more for the poor people of this country than any
Can I end this
country.
debate with the softest voice on my program, that is Mr. Jakhar, who actually has to deal with farmers? I'm going to put 30 seconds to you. Is there some truth to the sense that a decisive political leadership will scare away the hoarders of this country?
Not from the BJP.
Not from any party.
No, not from any party. So, but let me tell you this, that farmers are not looking for aid. We are looking to be self-sustaining. And that does not come by giving us freebies. And that's why we are upset. We want to be able to grow and have surplus to sell, and we want markets for that, and that requires investment.
Okay.
And I'm giving you two quick solutions. One is to give every farmer family an animal to keep at home instead of giving them free food.
Right.
So they have an animal, they have some milk, they have some produce, and the animal could differ region to region. And the second is to copy the Bangladesh model of homestead farming, where every farmer has been allowed and made to have a small farm where he can grow and enough vegetables to eat for himself.
You're talking of a revolution of the true sense. Let's have a real, this country needs in a sense, a second green revolution, a second agrarian revolution, something which I'm sorry, Mr. Soos.
State which is best performing in the country in agriculture in the last 10 years.
Okay, it's Narendra Modi's
for 10 years.
I take your point, sir.
BJP cannot provide that leadership.
Okay, I take your point. It's also Narendra Modi's birthday, and ironically, it's Manmohan Singh, the economist, who perhaps hasn't found solutions to India's larger agriculture crisis. Appreciate all my panel.